I went on a few dates with this short king who is also a drummer, and I wasn't dating him for this reason, but my dad said that if I must date a musician, that it can only be a drummer. And I was like, that's weird, why? And he said, well, I just think that other musicians have real serious ego issues and they can never seem to get their lives together. And I was like, Dad, you play the saxophone. And he said, so you see my point. But this guy played the drums. He was really cute in the face. He was really kind. He was like so interesting and fun to talk to. And he had a very attractive voice. If you know, you know. He was 5'4", and I know he was 5'4" because we were the exact same height, and that didn't bother me. What bothered me was we were driving somewhere in his truck, because of course, right? And he said, I know I'm not a very tall guy, I'm like 5'8", 5'9", and I thought, whoa. Does he expect me to pretend like he's a couple inches bigger than he actually is just to make him feel good? Because I'm not the girl for that, okay? Frankly, I just think that's demeaning for both of us. And then he said, tell me about yourself. And so I told him all the normal getting to know you things, like where I grew up and the various ways all my childhood pets died. And I said, tell me about yourself. And he proceeded to tell me how he fell in love with his very first girlfriend in 2nd grade and ended by saying, and basically I've been in some kind of a relationship ever since. And I thought, well, that seems like a red flag. But given that I myself am just a bunch of red flags stacked up in a trench coat, I'm gonna choose to ignore it. We had great chemistry, but otherwise it was just like 2 very normal average dates. And at the end of the second one, he said, I would like you to be my girlfriend. And I was like, oh, pass. But then he tried to talk me into it. And I was like, listen, can't we just like go on a few more dates and then see where we're at? Because I really do like you. This just feels a little bit premature. And he said, no, you have to decide now whether or not you want to be with me. And I was like, well, did I decide no? But he kept trying to talk me into it until finally I blurted out, I hate Rush. And that probably doesn't mean anything to most of you, but Rush is a Canadian rock band and their drummer is like the Kelly Clarkson of drummers, okay? Little Drummer Boys really love the drummer from Rush. And he said, what? No, you told me that you loved Rush. And I said, no, on our first date, you said that you played the drums in a band. And I said, oh, do you like Rush? And then you got really excited and you talked about them for 15 minutes while I listened. And for the record, I think they're an excellent band. They're a great band. The music's just not for me. And he said, well, if you don't like their music, then I don't think this is gonna work out. And I was like, thank God. And then we sat in awkward silence for a very long time. And then finally he said, are you still sitting here for the reason I'm still sitting here? And I was like, yep. And then we hooked up a little bit and it was gross. It was very bad. And you guys are probably thinking, why? Why would you hook up if you already decided that you weren't interested in him? The chemistry was strong. The force was strong with this one. But then we acted on it and it was so bad that I thought, surely we can't date now. We just need to move on with our lives and pretend like none of this ever happened. So that's where I was at. But then he said, you know what? I still want to date you. So here's my proposal. You agree to be my girlfriend. Go home, sleep on it. If you wake up and you decide that you still don't want to be my girlfriend, then you can just call me and dump me. And I was like, I don't know what kind of weird teen movie bet you're involved in, but those are weird terms and I don't agree to them. Then he put on a song about a guy whose girlfriend doesn't appreciate him. So he was like, I'm just gonna leave and see how you feel about that. I bet you'll be sad. And he was like, this song will always make me think of you. And I was like, we've known each other for a week. You don't get to pick this as our song. We met on Wednesday of last week. It is now the following Wednesday. He said, here's what I think we should do. I'm not gonna call you, text you, or hang out with you for the next 2 weeks. And probably during that time, you're gonna realize that you miss me and that you do wanna date me. Or you might not miss me at all. And I was like, it's definitely gonna be the second one. You have given me nothing to miss. And he was like, you're gonna decide that you miss me and in 2 weeks, I'm gonna call you and ask you if you wanna date me again. And I was like, oh my God. I just hooked up with one of those guys who paid money for an internet class on how to get women. Like, I'm sure of it because nothing else explains the words coming out of his mouth right now. And I was like, listen, the answer is gonna be no, buddy. But if you need to call me in 2 weeks for your own peace of mind, then do so. And he left and I went on with my life. And 2 weeks later, I got a phone call and I missed him by just like a few seconds. So I called him back right away. And a woman picked up the phone and I was like, weird move, Tom, but okay. And I said, is Tom there? And she was like, oh my gosh, don't worry, this is just his mother. And then she handed Tom the phone and Tom was like, do you want to date me then? And I was like, Tom, as a friend, don't you feel like you could do better at this point?
I want to make fun of my little sister or people who struggle with social anxiety because I also struggle with social anxiety, but the way it shows up for me is I will sit in my car for 15 minutes trying to hype myself up my keys just fell, to go into Target because heaven forbid I go into a public space and somebody so much as see me, because I hate being perceived unless it's on the internet and I'm getting paid for it. But if I'm like buying my apples and somebody else buying apples makes eye contact with me on accident, I'm like, and I flee. So I'll spend all this time hyping myself up to go into the store. But then once I get in the store, I act fully drunk the whole time just because I'm so nervous. And I think it's my brain's way of taking control of the situation or expelling that nervous energy. So strangers are walking past me and I'll say, oh, your boots are so gorgeous. I love your hair today. And if some poor soul makes eye contact with me while I'm sniffing candles, I feel the need to start explaining myself, and I'll say, oh, I just like to get the ones that can be repurposed for other things, like holding Q-tips. And they go, and they nod politely, and then they slowly walk away. But my sister's not burdened with guilt from existing in the world or taking up space. What she's afraid of is approaching people and talking to them. So when I took her to the Taylor Swift concert, she would have me wing woman her. She would pick a target because she wanted to mingle with the other Swifties, right? And she would have me do the approach. And I didn't mind doing that, but I just kept thinking, what are you so afraid of? We are among our people. Why are you afraid to approach someone? What are they going to do? Spit on you? That's not going to happen. That's only happened to me one time in my whole life.
Am I the asshole for publicly telling my widowed sister I'll never move on like she did? My sister Jane and I's husband passed away together in an accident 6 years ago. Jane and her first husband have 2 children. Jane remarried around a year after the passing and went on to have 2 more kids with her new husband. I have 3 teenage kids from my late husband and haven't dated since the accident, and I don't plan to. I know it's controversial for many, and I seriously don't need comments overflowing with people telling me it's okay to love again. I know, but I have no interest. Both me and the kids have done therapy and nothing is directly wrong with me. But my family over the years have tried to set me up, give me speeches, and convince me to find a new partner. Am I the asshole for publicly telling my widowed sister I'll never move on like she did? I've tried everything to shut it down, and because of this, I've actually distanced myself quite a lot. I see them mostly for the kids' sake, and I'm also very close to my in-laws and my husband's entire family. Anyway, my parents hosted a birthday dinner for my mom, and during dinner, Jane once again asked when I was gonna start dating. I said that I'm not and to please drop it, to which she responded, it's been 6 years, you need to move on. I snapped, stood up, and firmly told her I was never going to move on, and just because she wanted to remarry in less than a year doesn't mean I have to. The table went quiet, and Jane started yelling and insulting me, and of course the family is on her side. Am I the asshole for sending my brother a list of every item of ours that my nephew has ruined? I, 25 female, have a niece Bella, 7 female, and a nephew Michael, 10 male. I love them both, but I have a closer relationship with Bella. Michael's a good kid, but he's a ticking time bomb and completely uncontrollable. And even though I love him as his aunt, I can't have him around for long. For example, the last time he was in our house, he poured my nail polish collection onto my wife's favorite silk Persian carpet. And that's not even 1% of the damage that he's done. My wife, 27 female, and I recently bought a villa out of town, and it has a good game room, pool, and many other things Bella adores. Am I the asshole for sending my brother a list of every item of ours my nephew ruined? So we offered to give Bella a tour, but my brother said either Michael and Bella were to be included or neither of them were coming. So we went by ourselves, but Alex got mad and said it was disgusting that we favored Bella because she's a girl. He said we were hypocritical and unfair to Michael and never included him in our plans. I told my brother he's uncontrollable, and he had the audacity to ask what Michael had done. I made a table including every item my nephew damages in our house and the estimated cost. Carpet, my wife's antique vases, her glass statue of the Eiffel Tower, and so much more. Now my brother's mad and thinks I'm arrogant. Would I be the asshole for spraying some kid with my garden hose daily after he walks all over our lawn? I, 37 male, live with my wife, 37 female, and son and daughter, 9 and 11. Recently, there's been this kid who comes by our house after playing soccer and either rides his bike or walks all over the lawn with his cleats. In the beginning, I would give him stern looks whenever I saw him, but then it slowly progressed to me asking him to go around. The last time I asked him, he made a point to stomp extra hard and twist his feet into the grass to piss me off. Since then, I've been hosing him. The first time I sprayed him, he ran off, but then he came back and stood there like he enjoyed it. Should I be the asshole for spraying some kid with my garden hose daily after he walks all over our lawn? It's now progressed to me sitting on my lawn chair pointing my hose at him and him just staring at me while he does so. Sometimes we even make small talk. I'm not gonna lie, it started off as a really bitter relationship, but I've gotten to know the kid quite well. We talk for maybe 15 to 20 minutes every day, and he doesn't mind being hosed down after sweating hard playing soccer. He comes by daily and we just talk while I hose him, and he stands there for a bit. Well, my wife told me I need to stop even when I explained to her the situation because it's making us look like childish idiots. I guess I could stop, but honestly it's funny waiting for him.